I think it's really funny how cartoons sometimes do a better job of explaining what's going to happen better than the experts can. And today we're going to go over a iconic South Park episode, which actually has pretty accurately predicted where we are right now in the housing market in 2025. They made some funny jokes about realtors flipping mortgages and renting. So make sure you stay tuned to the end because I think they got 4 things right and then they got 1 thing maybe wrong, in my opinion.
South Park Realty Group. Get out of the city and into beautiful South Park.
The first joke that they made, which is so true and also somewhat painful, and it is about agents, is that it is so easy to get your license.
It's more than a good deal, Butters. It's legal theft. If my mom can be a real estate agent, then literally anyone in the world can.
Lots of people have their license. The stat is that 5% of agents do over 90% of the business, and 95% of agents do less than 5% of the business. What's also true of a stat from 2024 is that 76% of agents did no deals. So there are a lot of agents out there and many of them do not do a lot of business. And if you are going to go to a doctor or anybody who has any type of professional experience, you're going to want to make sure that they've gotten some reps in. I think it takes about 2 weeks to get your realtor's license.
Wrong answer, forehead.
You do classes for 2 weeks and then you go and you take a couple of tests and then lo and behold, you are licensed and ready to handle people's most precious commodity. There's many ways to do this job, but at the end of the day, you definitely want someone who's at least done it a few times before. All right, the second joke that was actually really funny and something that I think strikes home for me is the house flipping craze.
We've got other great listings like Craig's house, Wendy's house, and my personal favorite, Kyle's house.
2021, 2022, it just became a huge thing. Everybody was jumping in and flipping houses. It was easier to do because interest rates were so low and prices were continually climbing month after month. Much more difficult to do now. But I remember being in that market and going out with buyers to look at homes that were literally bought maybe 30, 90 days ago. And the flipper had done a lipstick job on it. And sometimes they look really good. You got new countertops, paint, flooring, but deep in the infrastructure of the house, there was a lot of problems.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
I personally am still out there trying to look for properties, and if this is you, please let me know with a comment below. Give me your stinky properties. The stinkier, the better. I love to go in and do a full remodel. We did a 4-plex recently. We replaced the roof, the electrical, the water heater, the furnaces, everything. I love to go in, get a really good deal, and then bring it back to life, almost like new construction. So house flipping is very difficult, and it can be very funny, but more on that later. Another joke that South Park made was about lending, and lending can be such a quagmire and deep, dark part of the business that people don't truly understand.
You're just driving up the market and none of your deals will make it through escrow.
Well, we'll just see in 30 days, won't we?
There's obviously a huge problem in 2008 with subprime loans. Recently, what we're seeing is a lot of ARMs. So if you don't know what an ARM is, that is an adjustable rate mortgage. So the lender is going to give you maybe 2, 3, 4% right now, and then 3, 4 years down the road, it goes up to 7 or 8%. So you want to pay attention to the fine print there. In 21, 22, you weren't seeing a lot of ARMs because interest rates were so low. But they're not necessarily a bad thing. We are in what we might consider a high interest rate environment with interest rates anywhere from 6 to 7%. They're flatlined, they're not continuing to go up, but eventually they may come down. And what's great about an adjustable rate mortgage is, let's say interest rates right now are about 7%, but a lender is going to be willing to give you 4% for 3 years. Well, I might jump on that considering in the next 3 years, mortgage rates may come down. So if it's 7% now and you can get 4%, and then as time goes along, you can refi out of that adjustable rate mortgage, go to a traditional conventional mortgage and lock in at whatever that interest rate is in 3 years. So ARMs are not necessarily a bad thing, but it is funny and also not so funny when you get into a situation that you don't understand. So read the fine print. If it sounds like it's too good to be true, it probably is. The fourth joke that was really funny was talking about neighborhood drama. And that is actually something that has been coming up a lot more recently.
So then we have to find a way to stop this.
It's the damn real estate agents.
If you are, I think it's 74 million Americans are governed by an HOA. And HOAs are just other homeowners in the subdivision who are making decisions for everybody, usually through a voting process or whatnot. But I think in 2024, there was over $100 million worth of lawsuits based on HOA disputes. And in today's world, I think, especially after COVID, people crave space and privacy, and they want to be able to control their property. If you are going in to go ahead and buy something that is in an HOA, make sure you read the bylaws and you read the CC&Rs, the restrictions, because then they may mandate whether you can paint your house, you do anything with your landscaping, leaving cars in the driveway, things like that. But the energy of the world has also shifted a little bit, and I feel like people are at their throats more than ever. And so we're seeing neighbors come after each other for small things. It seems like it's just more common than ever to probably blame somebody else rather than like taking accountability. So HOAs can be good and they can be bad. At the end of the day, it can keep subdivisions really nice. It's nice to know that all your neighbors are taking care of their homes, but how far is too far? All right, this is the last joke, and you'll hear this a lot, that renting is more affordable than buying.
Going down South Park and meet some friends, man.
And currently, right now, with 7% interest rates, that is actually true. It is more affordable to rent a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house than it is to potentially buy one. But this is what I think they got wrong. At the end of the day, that money is always going to someone else. None of it is coming back to you. So you look at a 7% interest rate on a loan, that means 7% of what you're paying on that loan is going to go to the lender, but then there will be principal that gets paid towards you. Well, renting is 100% interest. You're just giving away the money with no promise of getting it back. Also, the median net worth of renters is about 10 times lower than homeowners. And we are in a market now where buyers can make more choices than they used to because of a high interest rate environment. So sometimes you can get a better deal or you can get closing costs. But what also is true, and they don't think South Park got this correct, is that there's not another bubble. I just don't see it happening. Foreclosures are at an all-time low, and inventory hasn't skyrocketed. Those are the two things that could potentially bring down prices. And I think it's 76% of Americans have more than 50% equity in their home, and 36% of them own their home outright. If you can't make your payments, you're probably just going to sell your house and then cash out on your equity. Sometimes it just makes more sense to rent, but I think the long-term goal should always be to buy. Not only is that money coming back to you, you're going to make money over time, your wealth is going to be larger, but you get to control your property. Unless potentially you're in an HOA, which we just talked about. But owning your own home gives you a sense of pride and ownership. There's some tax benefits there as well, and you get to control your environment a little bit more. So if you liked what you saw today, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about some of these jokes that they made and if you think that they're true. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.